Hi, Pramod sir. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Bharani sir.
Hi, Lavana.
Hi, sir.
Hi, Bernie.
Hello, CNC. How are you?
I couldn't join the other one.
Oh, no problem. Anyway, we can take it up here.
Yeah, okay. I'm not seeing any of you.
No, I haven't opened my video yet. Something is blocking my videos. I mean, the screen. Are you doing something, Lavana? Yeah, now it is fine.
It's actually Lavana's screen only. Lavana, whatever. If
I had just closed that, ma'am.
Yeah.
Because
Thank you.
I think there is some settings that you have to change.
Is it fine now, ma'am?
Yeah, perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, RKR has joined.
That will make him a co-host. Good afternoon, RK sir.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Hi, CNC. You're fine now?
What? Somewhat.
Okay. Welcome.
From a place for a while.
Barney, you checked that palsinova@gmail.com, right? For all the questions. Oh, Barney is not there.
Bharani is there, sir.
Lamna, Barney is not there. Can you keep a watch on this Palsinova, this one, and Gmail and see if there are any questions?
Okay, sir. I will try it. Bharani sir is there. I can also do this, sir.
So check with him if he's busy with
I
all
will check
these
with him.
other things. You also keep seeing it.
Okay, sir. Robin sir, can you help Arun Dev sir with the meeting ID? He is asking for the meeting login.
Okay.
Okay, I had to step out for a while. You asked,
Yeah, tell me.
did you ask some question? I mean, I stepped out for a while.
No, I was just asking if you just had a look at that Gmail ID for any more questions.
Not at. I mean, once we get started, I will start looking at it. Yeah.
Okay, so we should include those questions also if something came recently. Yeah. I didn't check it.
Yeah. I will. I'll check it out. Has Pramod joined?
Okay. Yes, he has joined. Sir.
He has joined. Okay.
Pramod sir, can you able to talk? Good afternoon, Andev sir.
Is Pramod going to share the presentation or are you sharing it?
Pramod has got it in his hard disk. He's going to share it directly from that. And
okay.
So Pramod, you will be sharing the presentation from your hard disk, right?
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, and you can download it, Lavna. I think Barney has sent the OneDrive link as well.
Yes.
Okay, stop it.
I have also kept it ready.
So which one should I use then?
No, you can use your version.
Go ahead and use yours. We'll all have plan B and plan C basically.
Okay. So the other question, Barney, is when are you going to do that initial?
Yeah. So before you start, I will do that initial ice breaking thing.
Okay.
I'll take 3 minutes and then I'll give it back to you. You can get started.
So you're going to take over from RKR and then give it to me.
Yeah, correct. Yes.
And then you'll again take over when we're in the middle of that slide.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, yeah. Okay, Barney, have you sent me the deck just as a backup?
Yeah. You have sent the link.
It's come on the email.
Yeah, it has come on the email.
Okay.
So we gave them a starting time of 4:45?
Yes.
Yeah.
Literally, we start at 4:45.
Okay, sir. We have 1 more minute.
Yeah, participants are coming in. Are you checking the YouTube also?
Yes, sir. It's live, actually. 12 to 13 participants already there in the YouTube.
Okay.
Hey, have you started recording? Last time we had a delayed
We will
recording.
start now, sir. We will start
Okay.
now.
Okay.
We have 58 participants. Shall I go ahead now, sir? 4:45. RKS, sir?
What is the time on your watch, on your clock?
4:45, exactly.
Exactly. 4:40.
Okay. You can start.
A warm welcome and good evening to one and all gathered here for the PALS Innowah Webinar 2. This is Lavana from the PALS Program Management Office. I will be the virtual host for this session. By now, most of you are aware of the basic ground rules we used to insist in each and every webinar. Mentioning again for the others' benefit, all participants will be in the muted mode and make sure to switch off your video for the seamless flow of events. Second is kindly log your attendance in the format given in the chat box. You can post your question to the email ID palsinnova@gmail.com. It will be answered in the Q&A segment. If time permits, we will allow you to ask questions directly to the champion. At the end of the program, you will get the feedback form. Kindly ensure to submit the same. With this, I'm handing over to Mr. Krishnamurthy Rao, PALS champion, for the welcome address. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Hope I'm heard properly.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Ellarkum vanakkam. Very warm good afternoon to all of you. Welcome to this second webinar of Innowah. We have started this series for the first time, the webinar series in Innowah for the benefit of all our partner institutes. And it's gone well so far. The first webinar, we saw that it went well. I think many of you attended it. You are very happy. And as we learned from the feedback, we have also shared the recording with you of the webinar. So you can all feel free to go and see the recording as many times as you want. Those who have attended the webinar can also see the recording and understand it better. It's all available to you. Please make use of the facility. So why we are doing the webinar series, we feel that we must share more about innovation with our students. We have done a lot of work on innovation in our respective jobs and careers. We felt that we should share with you so that you can get the benefit of it. And you can start doing well about it as soon, even in your student days, in your engineering days. So that's the idea for us to come up and share it with all of you. And we have put in a lot of effort. I should credit all my colleagues, especially Pramod and Bharanidharan, of course, Arun Dev and Chandrasekharan also, that all of us have put a lot of effort and prepared series of webinars, which are very easy for you to understand. And it's a very complex subject, this innovation. To explain it to you in a very understandable way and in a way in which you can learn it and start applying it immediately is a big challenge for us. And I should say that we have risen up to the challenge and we are doing our best, and I'm sure you are also benefiting from it. So we have 3 webinars so far in this series. We have planned for 3 webinars. Webinar 1 has already been completed. It answers questions like the basics of innovation and how to generate ideas, and some simple idea generation tech tools such as brainstorming and mind mapping have been covered there. Now in webinar 2, we are covering teamwork and creativity. So I'll leave it to my colleague Pramod to talk more about it. But now we are coming to the next aspect of innovation. And so this will help you and answer some questions on why teamwork is necessary for innovation. And then, of course, we'll have a third webinar. I'll not tell much about it. I'll leave it to you to get the suspense at the right time, get the details at the right time. And we are recording all the webinars. As I repeat again, the recordings are available. So please feel free to see the recordings again if you like. Please ask your friends who have missed this session to see the recordings. It's open to all the students and faculty of the college. It does not, innovation does not do any distinction between your age, your branch, your specialization, or anything else. Anybody can go through it. Anybody can innovate. Everybody is innovating also in the world. So it's open to everybody. So please don't feel inhibited because you are in some branch or in some discipline or in some year for attending this webinar or to learn from it. Feel free to go ahead and learn. It applies to all students, faculty, and even the management of the institutes. So as part of the webinar, we'll also conduct a quiz. We conducted a quiz for the first webinar. The winners will get some prizes. It's basically to help you test your knowledge and learn more about innovation. So please participate and get the benefit of learning. And I would say that it would benefit all of you. It would benefit all the students, and not those who do Innowah projects, or not those who do entrepreneurship, even those who join companies. They have to be very innovative in their jobs to progress in their careers. So it is necessary for all of you to be innovative, to work in teams, to succeed innovatively. And so this series of webinars is intended for everybody, all the students and faculty of the college, as I reiterate again. So one small news for all of you. We have launched, the Pulse Innowah team has launched its website. We have launched an exclusive website for all our partner institutes, the students and the faculty, to share all the news of Innowah, to share all the artifacts of Innowah, both the webinar and the competition. So earlier we were depending on emails, we were depending on other means of communication, but now once the website has got functional, you don't have to wait for emails or other communication. Please use the website, go to the website, you will get the communication. We are updating it frequently, it's available to you. The latest updates will be available to you. And we have also given you a channel to mention your points, your feelings, your grievances, or your questions. We have a channel, and please feel free to use the channel to communicate with us. We hope that with all this, you will get better opportunities to be innovative in this year in your college, in spite of all the other challenges we have. So with this, I will hand over to Pramod and Bharani for the main session. This time we are doing a new experiment. So Bharani will briefly talk about it, and then Pramod will take over the session.
Yeah.
Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, RK. Good evening, students. This time we are trying to be a little bit more interactive. So to break the ice, so I'm going to pop up a link. Please look at your chat box. There you'll see a link which will take you to a question. I want you guys to answer that question. I'm going to please look for that. I'm going to. I hope you all able to see the link now. Are you able to see?
Yes,
So the link is visible. Please go to your chat box.
Go to the chat box. Click the link. Answer the question in the link. Don't answer it in the chat box. I mean, it's yeah. Yeah, start. You can start. We'll give a minute. We'll see how people are answering it. I think the answers are pouring in. Okay, good. I think, yeah, I think people are getting familiar, and we are able to, we just want to make sure that you are familiar with this particular tool, how to use it, because we are going to have one more question. So I will stop this at this point in time. We'll move on to the next question now. Please look at your chat box and open the second link. Yeah, please go ahead and answer this. Okay, good. A lot of people have, I think now you got familiar with this. So we will be having one more such poll during the webinar that is going to be specific to webinar. In that, there won't be any choice. You will be asked to give your open answer. So we'll come to that later. Now I hand it over to Pramod. Pramod, thank you, Pramod. You can take over from now. No, Pramod, you are on mute. You are muted, Pramod.
Thank you, Barney. I'm going to share my screen. Is that visible?
Not yet.
Has it come up?
Have you started screen sharing, sir? It's working.
Working? Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So thanks a lot, Barney. That is a good warm-up to what we'll be doing a bit later. So this is webinar 2, Creativity in Teams. And we are going to continue the series with a somewhat different focus where we look at teams. And before we do that, let's take a quick look at a few slides to recap what we talked about before. As you know, we are planning 3 webinars for the time being. We covered one in September 11th. Today we are looking at creativity in teams, and then tentatively around the end of the month or maybe beginning of November, we'll look at the third aspect of innovation, which is value creation. This is what we looked at about a month ago. We answered some questions such as what is innovation, how to generate ideas. We looked at a couple of techniques like SIT, mind mapping. Today, we are shifting the focus to creativity in teams, as we said earlier. Some key questions we'll address are what makes teams effective, how to generate ideas. This is a continuation from the last webinar, and indeed will be a core aspect throughout the series. And then we are going to continue to look at some additional tools for idea generations, such as something called NJT, which is nominal group technique. You will shortly see what this is. We'll also look at Scamper, that's an acronym. And then we'll introduce a technique called De Bono's 6 hats, okay? And there'll be some videos that will reinforce the learning, what creativity in teams means. So together, as we said last time, this constitutes what we would say is the foundation or the basics, which will then take us to the third seminar, where we are going to focus more on the value creation aspect of it. So what that means is we are now going to turn to the customer to say, what is their need? What is the problem or opportunity that they are grappling with, given the theme that we have for Innowah, which is engineering and the new norm. But within that theme, there's a whole bunch of focus areas. So what particular problem or opportunity you want to focus on, who has it, which means who is the potential customer, and the solution that you are thinking of, hopefully you are thinking of something along that line, is that going to be useful to them? And that is all about value creation. And we will include in our content an excellent video which will address this notion of, what is your solution for what is your product for. We will look at another couple of tools and techniques, evaluation matrix and design thinking. And this is what we call the launching phase. So a key takeaway from this, as we said last time, is that this is not necessarily the sequence in which you want to conduct your contest project, the Innowah project per se, but this is a structure we chose to create so as to first build up a good understanding of what is innovation, what are some key tools to be used, and then we turn our focus to the value creation where we look at the customer. So that is the intent behind these webinars. You should not necessarily construe this to be the step-by-step process for doing your project. In fact, innovation is a fairly dynamic process. It's iterative and it's not something that's linear. So do not get confused by this. And secondly, even the timing of this, we hope by now that you certainly have started on your project, because we introduced and launched the Innowah contest on August 20th, which has been at least 6 weeks now. And we certainly hope that you had your first few sessions where you've been kicking around some ideas. You looked at what is the problem or opportunity, who are the likely customers, and you had a chance to at least use some of the tools we looked at in the first webinar. So that is the whole intent. These webinars are designed for you to have some knowledge, but also more importantly, or equally importantly, have practical tools which you can use, not only for the Innowah project, but for the larger students who are participating in this audience, and for anybody who's listening in, to use this creatively and in whatever context that you want to use it, whether you're working on some other project or whatever. It's geared towards a broad audience, and within that you have a subset of the Innowah contestants. So that is the outline that we talked about last time. This is just a quick recap. We also plan to offer more webinars next semester, and we will let you know about those as time goes by. This also is a quick recap. Very quickly, by now you should know that innovation is creativity plus the value. And so what that means is you take an idea, make it technically feasible, but that's not enough. You got to then look at the customer and the requirements and what they wish for to see if it is going to be successfully commercialized, or at least something that is going to be going to have the potential to be widely used. That is the complete process, you will, of innovation. And so then the last recap on what we covered last time is the big picture. And what we meant was the fact that innovation is about structured process. One doesn't have to be born a genius to be innovative. One can learn to be innovative. And to do that, there are certain structured processes or techniques to do that. But broadly, there is a process that you want to follow where you start with identifying the need or the problem or the opportunity. So with that comes who has the problem or the need. Then you look at what is available, if anything, in terms of meeting that need or not meeting the need. From that, you get an idea of where you want to sort of look into generating ideas. Once you do that, you then bring it down to this narrow set of ideas. You do some trials for your solution. You create a prototype, and then you end up with something called a minimum viable product. And we will cover this more in the third webinar. But what we're talking about is the functionality design. It should be functional. It should have a design that works. It should be reliable, and it should be, of course, usable. So there are certain minimum criteria that you need for the MVP. And again, to stress the point we made last time, this is not a linear process. You do not proceed literally in this step by step. The whole point of innovation is that you will have trials and errors. You will have uncertainty. There'll be periods of confusion, and that's perfectly fine. It's just the nature of innovation. So it'll be iterative. You might find that you identified a need and that you come to some ideas that you have generated. You create some trials and you have a prototype, and then you go back to the customer and say, well, this is not quite what you had in mind. So then you got to go back. You go back to the drawing board and then say, where have we gone astray? What can we do to get back? And you're not necessarily looking for the correct answer in this, but you are looking for finding something that works for the customer. So it is an iterative process. Okay. The other key aspect of innovation is, sort of the building blocks, the team. Who is the team? How does the team work together? And how do they go about working on the project? That's very, very important. There are some tools. What we are presenting is a range of tools. They are not comprehensive or the only tools that are out there, but we thought we would present some that are quite practical and relevant to your project and in general as well. And of course, we touched on also the need not to only think about the project when you are together in teams, but also to spend time when you're not actually thinking about the project, because that's something called diffuse thinking, where suddenly in the middle of doing something else, an idea will pop up, and then that's something you take back to the team and then say, I thought of this, why don't we think some more about this? And that's how your thinking process works. It's something we don't want to ignore at all. So this is the big picture as far as innovation is concerned. Okay, that being said as a recap, let's now turn to this webinar and look at the key objectives that we are planning to address. And this is something probably best looked at from the point of view of key questions that you as the audience may have. So the three questions that we have here are, the first one is that is a creative product an innovation? What are some more ways of generating ideas? And how could teams be creative? Okay, so these are the key objectives that we will be addressing in the following slides. Before we get too deep into the different tools and techniques, and we already had talked about some, and because we're going to introduce some more in this webinar and the next, this is a good place to take a look at the roadmap, if you will, because there's a number of techniques and tools, and you'll find these to be quite useful as a reference and for your own use in your project. So the first broad category is what we call diversion thinking. This is something we talked about last time, where you are looking at one topic or one area, and from there you are going on to create more ideas or more thoughts that you want to express. So it's one to many. And there are two contexts of that. One is you have a given topic, and then within the given topic, you have certain techniques. We talked about brainstorming last time. We showed you what a mind map looks like. As far as the other context is concerned for divergent thinking, you have something which is an existing product, service, or process. That's what PSP stands for. And there we discussed last time a technique called systematic inventive thinking, which was a structured way of looking at an existing product, service, or process. Today, we are going to continue this with introduction of a few more tools. One of them is going to be this NJT, which is nominal group technique. It's a mouthful again, but you will hopefully understand this clearly through the example we'll share with you. And in the process of innovation or working as a team, once you come to the point where you have a number of ideas that you have generated, it's then time to put your arms around these to say, okay, we thought about this, we have a rich harvest of ideas and possibilities. How do we now narrow it down? Because ultimately you got to get it to that MVP point, right? You got to bring it, take it to the customer and say, this is what we got. Does this make sense to you? Is this something you find useful? And would you be willing to pay for it and buy it? So there we get to the flip side of the coin, which we call conversion thinking. So we are now taking many ideas and then distilling those down to few ideas or maybe even one idea, because you want to narrow it down to say, okay, which of these things are you going to work on further? So as it happens, this NJT is a technique and can be used in both areas, and we will show you how. We will also introduce to you a process called De Bono's 6 hacks. It's like mind mapping, can be used for many uses, but we will limit it to a particular use in this webinar. And then for the third webinar, we're going to get into evaluation matrix. But all of these are in the area of conversion thinking, where we're going to start narrowing down the ideas we generated to then work on the alternatives, the finalists, let's say the semi-finalists or the quarterfinalists, if you will. Okay, so that is the overall roadmap. I would recommend you, if you can, just have this as a reference for your team, and we would encourage you to use as many of these as possible. And it doesn't mean you have to literally follow, but generally start with the divergent thinking, create a lot of ideas, then go on later in your project to the convergent thinking side. But I think this would be something that will be very useful as a reference for you all. So let's take up the first of these tools under the roadmap, the nominal group technique or NJT. Now, we use these terms only because certain people have come up with this. So for example, here, Delbecq and Vadeven are the people who came up with this a number of years back. It's a group process model. And again, any and every technique and tool that we will show you and have been showing you is one where teams work together. Okay, it's really important, and that is the overall assumption. You can take it for every one of these. You need a team to work together. So what is this funny name, and what is this all about? Let's take a look at this. Simple. It's not very complicated. You start off where maybe the team facilitator or the leader or the mentor introduces and explains the theme. So in your case, it could be something related, of course, related to the COVID, but under that, you could be looking at a focus area. Then you might have multiple focus areas. So you could, as a team, do some voting. Sorry, where did I go here? Vote on this group ideas to select your top topic. Okay, and I'll explain very shortly what multi-voting is, but essentially think of it as voting where you are narrowing it down to select the top topic to work on. Next, this is the key step. Here, each team member is given us, a bunch of post-its or sticky notes, and it's good to have different colors. And then you sit down quietly for about 15 minutes, and each person, takes these stickies and writes down as many ideas as possible. Now, the idea, you don't have to write essays. I mean, you have to write short phrases or even words on one sticky. So one idea per sticky, right? You don't get involved in writing. This is not the time to write essays. So you do as many of these. Let it just come out. Let your ideas come out. Don't worry about whether it's dumb, whether it's smart, whether it will be accepted. Just let the ideas pour out. Then, after 15 minutes, the team facilitator will start going around in a round-robin fashion and say, okay, let's have you, share your ideas by going to the wall and put up your stickies. And you see the way this team has done here on the right, they're doing that. After that, there is a group discussion. And what that means is you read all the ideas that have been put up there. And then if there are some that are not very clear, then you ask whoever wrote that idea to clarify that so that everyone has an understanding of everything that's been put up. Okay. And then the next step is for the team to go through this exercise of multi-voting and then ranking. And the idea is to narrow all these wonderful ideas that you have, hopefully many, 5, 7, 8, 10 ideas from each person, and fill up the wall as much as possible. And then the team does a voting and then you rank. And then the output could be top 1, 2, 3 ideas which will come out of this exercise. An important point and advantage of this NJT as opposed to brainstorming, this is like a specialized brainstorming actually. But here, you can have a team where some people may be very new. So for example, if you're in the 4th year and you have somebody who's just started off this year as part of your team, that person is not going to feel very comfortable, sitting in a team with seniors. Or you could have some other composition of a team where people are somewhat shy and whatnot. So in a brainstorming session, they may feel reluctant to openly voice their ideas. And that is unfortunately human nature. But this technique gets around that because each person has 15 minutes of silence just to note down their ideas. And then they do so more freely. And this is something I use in many of my work with clients and their teams. And it's very effective. You can get even the very quiet, introverted people to come up with ideas. And believe me, sometimes the quietest people come up with really great ideas, okay? So this is something I think this is certainly should be very helpful to you. So let's look at an example. So before we do that, I just want to point out, because we showed you the roadmap, these first four are for creative or the divergent thinking, where you've got a topic and you're putting out as many ideas as possible. And then the group discussion and multi-voting gets you into the convergent thinking side, where you're going to narrow down these ideas to the top few voted ideas. So with this in mind, let's look at a simple example. Let's say the overall topic is COVID problems, and the team is asked to identify or contribute as many ideas as they can in terms of what are the different problems that come to their minds. So each person gets one color, as I said, of the sticky, and a bunch of these stickies in a pad, and then you jot down one idea per sticky, right? So you do this as many as possible. There are no prizes. So if you win, it's not the number of, I mean, the idea is to get as many as possible, but it's not a race, it's not a contest. So, this is a team exercise. Once that's done, then these ideas are posted after everyone finishes. You put them on the wall, and as I said before, get clarity if any idea is not clear. So here we have a very small and simple example. As you can see, there are 4 colors. So that means there are 4 team members, because each team member has one color. I mean, this is what's suggested. If you only have posted with one color, that's okay. It's not, doesn't mean you can't do the exercise, but this just highlights the contribution. So we have a number of ideas by different people. So somebody who had pink posted 2, somebody with blue posted 1, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that, like I said, number of ideas, you don't get ranked or rated because of how many ideas you contribute. The next step is to take these and categorize them so that it becomes easier for people to digest them. So what are these ideas really saying? These are raw ideas, and you can categorize these here as in three categories: people, equipment, and process. So we just rearrange these here to be ideas of the people, equipment, and process. It just makes it a little easier for us to, as a team, to then start looking at which ideas they want to vote on. Okay. So once this is done and everything is clear, people understand what's been written, and if it's not written, sometimes they have to rewrite or edit the words so it becomes very clear to everybody. The next step then is to start multi-voting and then ranking. And what does multi-voting mean? You vote to select the top idea or top ideas. There may be more than one. Each person is given 7 dots, and each dot represents a vote. And why, you ask, is 7, and why can one person only put maximum 3 dots? We use that with our clients, and I don't know who said this before, who came up with this, but statistically, that is the way they prescribe in multi-voting exercises. So this is a good point to keep in mind. You can also choose not to put a dot for an idea. So if you don't think an idea merits any vote, feel free not to vote, okay? And so with this in mind, here we will go and then start voting. So let's say the team has looked at these and then they vote, right? It's something you don't have to spend too much time on. I mean, it should be something that should come fairly quickly. So each dot represents a vote. And this is, if you were to count these dots, you will see that there are 24, meaning that there were a total of 28 votes that were possible, because there are 4 people and each person gets 7 dots or 7 votes. So 28 is the total. And 24 votes were cast. So I guess, there were 4 votes that people felt they didn't have to vote for anything, and that's perfectly okay. So if you see, it's very clear that PPE waste is the one that people believe is the idea that they really should go into further. The second one is the problem of many manual tasks. And what that means is the team would have decided that wherever there's too much hand touching, that's a potential risk each time of infecting somebody. That's what that means. Now, just because PPE waste happens to be 1 and this manual task happens to be 2, it doesn't mean you only go after the number 1 topic. You can also look at both. Or you might decide that's, you really want to go after PPE waste. But I would, as a team member, if I were, or a coach, I would at least say, go and investigate both these ideas. So this now gives you some direction to pursue, to say, okay, in the PPE based area, which is where we want to work on, what specifically are we looking at? What type of PPE? Where is this waste happening? And what is the problem with that? Same thing with manual tasks. What manual tasks where? Are you talking about a lift? The operation of lifts in a multi-story building? Are you talking about some office where people had to fill in a lot of forms? What exactly are you talking about? So you've got to start narrowing it down. But this gives you at least a road to walk on. It just gives you a direction. That's the purpose for coming up with this exercise, doing this exercise. Okay. All right. We will now turn to another tool, which is called Scamper, and you'll understand in a second. This is an acronym. This is applied like SIT in the last webinar. It's a technique to innovate an existing product, service, or process. So S stands for substitute. What that means is you look at an existing product, service, or process. You look at some aspect of it. It could be a feature, it could be a component, it could be a sub-process, and you say, this is something that creates a problem, or this is something where there's an opportunity to do something better. So then you substitute that part of it with something else. You can also combine. You can look at two sub-processes, you can look at two features. You say, let's combine and come up with something that could be a innovative way of looking at this. You could add some feature or an element to a product or a service. You could modify something. You could put something to another use, or put the whole product, service, or process to another use. You could eliminate something, or you could reverse or rearrange. Now, these are not mutually exclusive. You can do a combination of these. It doesn't mean you have to do all of them. You can just pick on some of these, and it can be even just one thing. Even substituting or modifying one thing could, in of itself, lead to potential innovation if that new or modified product is something that people love and want to buy in large numbers. Okay, so you'll understand this better when we go through this video, and then you see the exercise that we'll follow with that. So take a look at this short video.
The way this thing is angled, basically you can put it up against the wall and it'll project up to the wall, or you can put it up against a flat surface like a desk or a table and it'll project down onto the table. Once you do, it'll automatically sort of start to calibrate itself and sharpen it up. And once it's done, you have your projection, but here's the catch. It's a touchscreen projection. So this 10-point multi-touch element kind of unlocks this giant tablet experience anywhere you can find a flat surface, which you'll start to realize is like all over the place. And it's actually a lot more responsive than I thought it would be. Maybe it's because I've tried some pretty garbage, gimmicky versions of this in the past, but this one is really good. Basically, the limitation is you still got to make sure you're not casting a shadow on the element you actually want to touch. So if you want to hit this button, for example, don't block the light from above it. You just got to come from the other side of the light and touch it, and it works perfectly. But once you get the hang of that, it's all green light. You can literally play multiplayer games 1v1 against people, whether it's tic-tac-toe or board games or Pong or air hockey. We've tried all of them, and they all work. And on top of all that, it's got a built-in battery, so the thing is pretty portable. So you don't have to find a plug everywhere you go. You can be on a train, basically, and just plop this thing down and start using it like a tablet. So now you can basically turn any surface into a giant gaming controller without the need of a phone or a tablet. I'm sure you've played Pong before, but you've probably never played it on your kitchen counter or on a table. And then in the iOS, there's some other dedicated AI integrated apps they've built with different themes. For example, there's an education feature where you can use physical objects like actual plastic letters to teach spelling because it uses image recognition from the cameras to tell if you've spelled something right or wrong. There's a kitchen feature called Future Kitchen that lets you project recipes onto your kitchen counter, for example, or your cutting board, and it guides you through cooking them on your counter. And it'll even use that camera to recognize the ingredients you scan. There's also even a fitness app where in one direction, it points the workout program video onto the wall, and then on the other side is the camera facing you, and it helps correct your form and count your reps and track your body. So really interesting stuff that's been benefiting from the AI engine.
Okay, so that is a product that...
The way this thing is angled, basically...
Sorry. So that sounds like a cool innovation, right? But is it really an innovation? That's what we're going to look at. But before we do that, let's apply this Scamper. Sorry again. I use an Apple and sometimes it goes up. So this, if you were to look at applying Scamper to this example, we could look at an existing tablet and an overhead projector as an existing set of products. So if you were to look at S or substitute, you can see that the screen has been substituted or can be substituted any flat, clean, light color surface. You can combine the screen projector and tablet computer into one device as has been done. It has been adapted to where any flat, smooth surface can now become a touch screen. It has been modified where the projection can now be both vertical and horizontal on a surface. You can put it to some other use, and you saw that video talking about interactive cooking and exercise. It's also can also be used as a personal office gadget. So there are multiple uses for this. You look at elimination, and you can clearly see that now you don't need an overhead projector to be carried around. That this one unit does the work of that projector as well. And if you reverse or rearrange the functionality, you don't have to obviously take the screen with you that you would have to if you had a tablet. And any surface is now also not only a surface for projection, but also becomes a touch screen. So I mean, personally, I think this is a fantastic product. I'm not sure what this thing costs or who makes it yet, but if the price is not too high, I might consider buying it. In fact, I think I will go and buy this. Just because I say that that's the case doesn't necessarily mean that this product, which is technically very, very nice and obviously works well, is going to be an innovation. And what is innovation really? As we said before, is this something that is going to be widespread in its commercial use? Does it have value? It's one thing to have and go get something that's nice and technically something so new and it can be like a toy, but ultimately it has to be something that has to be used. Okay. So what are some of the questions you would ask when it comes to value? Who could be using this? Well, you could say that salesperson need not carry a bunch of different bulky things like a laptop or ask for an overhead projector when they go around visiting clients or prospects. You as a group of friends, you could take this around and go watch a movie or something else, some show, wherever you might be, even outdoors. There could be some other possibilities besides these couple of suggested user groups. And the more important question is, could this be widely used, right? So that's something you or anyone who, the innovator of this, I'm sure they've given thought to this, but as an example, we have to address that. And how do we really know is the key question. And that is something that if it is answered and if you find that it has a value, that makes this creative product an innovation. Talking about that, let's look at another nice product. It's quite neat actually. And again, something I would love to use. And then we'll see whether this, again, along the same theme, is actually an innovation.
I had this idea in my head of cycling on water. Look, I just really enjoy cycling. I love swimming. So the two things go together as far as I'm concerned. But how can you simulate the cycling experience but on water? People understand what it's like to ride a bike. Everyone knows that you push pedals down, it turns change, turns the wheel, you move forward. And to do that on water just really captivated a lot of people. The Manta 5 hydrofoil bike is an idea I had for ages. We didn't know if you could sit on a bike and even foil with your weight to the bike and where you could foil. So we would set up this kind of like contraption. You couldn't really call it a bike. It had foils on the front and the back, had handlebars and seat, and basically that was it. And the next thing was, could you propel yourself? Could you pedal a prop? So we re-engineered it. We had 1,000 props on the side of the board. We tried this one, we tried that one, tried that one. And eventually we did that. And then the next thing you have to do, well, if you can ride the bike in a straight line and turn, what if you came off? What if you came off the deep water? How did you get going again? We used to go to the swimming pool late at night in the dark, 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock, that's what we booked it for. There's no one else around. And I'd ride that bike in the pool and I'd drive home. It's like 100 kilometres for me to drive home. My hands would be white and it'd be freezing cold, but it was really an exciting time. The part where it really got exciting was when we applied for a design award, and we won a gold award for a concept award. And it was on our national TV on the news, actually. And I don't know how this stuff happened, but it went viral. And it went across the world. We started getting emails in a few at a time, and then 100 and then 1,000. And there was tons of it. It just went viral right across the world. People never seen anything before like this. What's really inspired me more than anything, I guess it's the fact that this is something that hasn't been done before. I often wonder why it hasn't been done before, and there's a very simple reason for that. It's just really, really difficult. There's times when I felt like giving up, a few times when I felt like this is just, I need to just bring this to an end, it's not going to work. Then we get a breakthrough and I'll be off again. The times that happened was countless. You know, it's just always a little breakthrough. I got so excited and then we'd be off again. But perseverance, I think, counts for a lot of things. Not giving up, that counts for a lot of things. Being positive and thinking this is going to work counts for a lot too as well. The most rewarding part of creating this bike is actually seeing people use it. The first 30 bikes we sold were in New Zealand. We just had a customer experience day on Tarawera Lake, and one of the fellows rode an hour across the lake to come and meet the group. And to see these bikes being ridden on the lake all together, that is, for me personally, that is really rewarding.
So I think that's something which I would love to have, won't you? I mean, I can just see a bunch of us friends getting together, riding this somewhere and having a lot of fun. But then we are talking about innovation here. So fun is one thing. So we will now turn to the question of value once again. And we will answer some questions here. Take a look at this product. That's the Manta 5, right? Which we looked at. And at this point, I'm going to ask my colleague, Bernie, to take over, and he will guide us through another exercise, which will let you exercise your gray cells to see what ideas you have in the context of whether this product has value or not. So, Bernie, I will let you take over. If I can find my cursor to stop the screen.
Thanks, Pramod. Hey,
Okay.
So now, see, we are going to have a short interaction session now. So you saw the video. We are going to ask you 3 questions related to that video. Please watch your chat box. You will get those questions. Please click that link. It will take you to a pop-up and answer the question in that pop-up. You are free to give your answers. Please keep it brief, just a few words. Okay, you can start giving your answers. Please click the link in the chat box. We'll give you a minute. The question is, for what purpose would someone use this water bike?
Bernie, are you posting the link?
Yeah, I did. I think people are typing on top of it. I'll do it once again.
Okay.
Yeah, please click the link. No questions received. I've sent it again.
Yeah, the link is not coming.
I'm not able to see the link, Barney.
Is it?
Yeah, I can't see the link.
No, I'm sending it in the chat box. I'm able to see that.
You can't see that.
Still not received. See, the students are also not receiving it.
Even now, you are not getting it in the Zoom chat?
No.
No.
Oh, okay, okay. Is it? I think it is not going to everyone. Sorry, somebody has. Okay, sorry about it.
It's
okay.
come.
Yeah. Okay, now it has come. Okay. So you can click the link and you'll get a pop-up. Please answer the question. For what purpose would someone use this water bike? Keep your answer just 3-4 words. We just need to see.
Even one word is fine.
Yeah. Good. So we are getting some thoughts out of it. Okay, let's go to the second question. I'll stop this. Okay, the second question is.
Again in the chat box.
Yeah. What type of user would want to ride it? I think we are getting varied variety of answers. This is how you explore your market anyway. Good. I think we'll go to the next one. I'll stop this. Start the next one. Please look out for the chat box. Where would this be used? Getting good response actually. Quite a lot of people are giving variety of answers. Okay, Pramod, you have any comments on these answers?
Well, I think this is serving the purpose.
Yeah.
We are getting a different, people are making, are thinking. That's what the whole purpose is for this. And I think this is great. We're happy to see people are really, this is the best we can do, guys, in light of COVID. I mean, this whole innovation webinar series would have been much more interactive had we been able to do this physically. But this is the next best thing we can do given the circumstances, right?
Good. Okay, I will hand it over back to you, Pramod.
Okay.
Continue.
I'm back. Thank you, Barney.
Thank you.
I'm just going to go to the thing and start sharing my screen. Okay. Is everyone able to see this?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Just to recap, Barney asked 3 questions. Why? For what purpose would someone use this water bike? You guys gave some good answers. Again, there's no right or wrong answers, by the way. Who, what type of user would want to ride it, and where would it be used? So it's wonderful to see some good, some creative and variety of answers. I saw one where someone said to the last question, that person would see this being used on a road. So, I mean, I would be curious to know whether that person has some modification in mind for this product. So, like I said, there's no wrong answers, but that certainly made me be very curious about that, right? But there were some other answers which emerged. So, for example, it said that lakes would be quite a good possibility for use. So, some convergence seems to emerge, which is what we are really looking for. Ultimately, that's what we've got to try and figure out. Where do we see ourselves using this? And so these are the key questions, not only in this exercise, but the key question any creator of a product should be asking. These are the questions you guys should be asking in your Innowah projects, that if you have certain ideas in mind about what aspect under the theme you're going to look at, who are these, what is the problem? And if you come up with something that seems like a solution to you, a temporary, a solution that's an idea in your mind, why, for what purpose would someone use your solution? Who are the kind of people who may want to use it? And hopefully you have done some homework before to have an idea, but you still have to validate it once you come up with a solution. And then where would it be used? So if you're looking at, PPEs, for example, are you talking about PPE used in hospitals? Are you talking about PPEs used by municipal workers, ordinary citizens? Who are we talking about? And where would that thing be used? So this is an exercise which is really essential and at the heart of trying to determine value, even though you may have in this case, a product that really works. It's not even a prototype. It seems to be really a nice product. In fact, if you Google it, there is a website and there's even a price for this. I checked it. This is about $9,000 US plus shipping. Now it looks like it gets shipped from New Zealand, so it can take a couple of weeks. Would you buy it for $9,000? That's a different question. There might be enough enthusiasts in some other countries who might want to buy it. My sense is people who live in countries where they have lakes, and lakes which are clean. I don't want to ride this bike in a lake which is polluted. You don't want to fall in dirty, polluted water and have more problems than otherwise. But there could be a market for this. We don't know, and I honestly don't know if this person has found enough commercial success with this Manta bike. So I hope the exercise gives you an idea of not only how to start thinking about your own project or in the context of innovation in general, but also lets you look at a real product which seems to be technically very, very nice to see, is this something that is a true innovation? Great. Which is what we're talking about here. And just as a pointer, this is why, again, when we ask you to come up with your concept document for your Innowah project, we are asking you to validate your user need using evidence. And what that means is you go out there, you talk to people who you think have a certain problem or who you think you can benefit from an opportunity. You talk to them, you do a survey, you record their opinions, what their thoughts are. You might take a video, you might go and see where the problem is occurring. Those are different ways of gathering evidence, which is what we are talking about here, which will help you and us know that, yeah, you have validated an idea that you have in terms of a potential problem or solution. And then you know who are these people or where it could be used to answer these questions. Great. So we'll go from here now and change gears. We will go to the other aspect of this webinar, which talks about creativity in teams. There's a very good model here, which looks at types of creativity it's actually relevant for an individual as well as a team. But since we are talking about teams, let's sort of focus on that aspect here. And this is done by an academician called Caroline Unsworth, some 8-9 years back. So we'll take a look. We'll use the terms that she has used here. These are not my terms. So on the x-axis, you have something called driver for engagement. What that really is the underlying motivation that lets a person or a team be in a certain role. So on the left, she calls it external. So which means it's something which is part of your job. It could be you as an individual or you as a team. Or it's something which is internal, which is voluntary. You choose to be in that role. On the other axis, you have the problem or the opportunity, but she calls it problem here. And it can be open or closed. A closed problem is where you've been given a topic, right? And an open problem is something where it's wide open to looking out, going out and saying, where could there be a problem and what could be an opportunity that I could work on or we as a team could work on. So if you look at these 4 quadrants, there are 4 ways to differentiate creativity. So if this is something that's part of a team's job, so for example, a team or the people who work as employees in a company or an organization, and they're given a particular topic or problem to work on, then they're responding to that topic by being creative. So it's called responsive creativity. If on the other hand, they're told to go out, look around 360, whatever the thing calls for, go and explore and come back with something that you want to work on and be creative in, that they are expected to be creative because that is part of their job. And so they're giving more latitude here to go out and show that creativity. On the other side, if you choose to volunteer in this role, then if the problem is given to you, then that is something where you're contributing your creativity in addressing that problem or the opportunity. On the other hand, if it's a wide open problem or opportunity, then you are stepping up as a team or as an individual and being very proactive about it. You're not only just contributing it or being responsive to it, you're now saying, I'm going to be creative and I'm going to go out and look for something or we are, as a team are going to work on that. And you're really proactive about it. So there are 4 ways in which a team can operate, given your role, your motivation, and the type of, the problem or the opportunity, okay? So if we were to step back from this, where would the Innowah team that you might be a part of fit in? We think you would be somewhere along here. Why? Because you are a voluntary team. You chose to be in the competition. It's not something you were, mandated to do. So you volunteered for it. And the problem is kind of open and it's kind of closed because we did say it's closed in the sense we're giving you a theme. We said it is engineering in the new normal. On the other hand, it's open because we said under that theme, you're free and open to choose whatever focus area you want to work on. So we are kind of saying that what team is over here. Now, it doesn't matter where the team is, but this is just using the context as an example to see where you guys are. So it doesn't mean this is good or this is bad or whatever. It doesn't mean anything like that. In fact, we will now show you an example where these people work in the responsive creativity area in a minute. But if we were to apply this framework to you as students, so you could be working on actually another project, which may be part of your curriculum, where you're given a topic and you're working as a team in your class. And you're working on a topic where you're coming up with something that is somewhat oriented towards research. You're given the topic, you've got to research it, you're going to go deeper into that, but then you're going to come out of it by giving some creative recommendations or ideas. It could even be, and this could be something where it's probably more in the case of PhD students, which is what they're expected to be, where they could be working on open-ended research. It could also be employees in an R&D establishment where they are expected to be, to work together to come up with creativity in some wide open area. I used to work many years ago in a very famous organization called Bell Labs. In fact, there's probably one of the leading organizations in the world that 7 Nobel laureates. And it was full of teams and departments where a lot of R&D was open-ended. So those guys majority of them fell into this expected creativity zone. So this is a good, useful framework to look at how teams can work together in being creative. So now let's turn to this responsive creativity quadrant here. And we'll show you through a video an example where a team works on a problem that has been given to them. So this team is a group of employees of a company called IDEO. It's a global design firm in California, in Palo Alto. And in this example of this video, which was a real case actually, which got documented in a TV segment, they were given the objective of improving a shopping cart, but they were only given 5 days to do that. So let's take a look at this. One key thing to remember is whatever you learn from this is a great way to understand how teams work well together. And this is valid for any situation, not necessarily in the context of this quadrant of the matrix we saw, or, it's just applicable all across, whether it's for innovation, whether it's for problem solving, you name it. So we would ask you to be very attentive to what you're going to see and what you will hear, because it's very instructive, particularly if you're working in a team or could be working in a team, to see how a team works well together, given a context of improving something in the, as an innovative exercise.
Tonight, the deep dive. One company's secret weapon for innovation. We went to IDEO, the product design folk, and said, take something old and familiar, like, say, the shopping cart, and completely redesign it for us in just 5 days. ABC News correspondent Jack Smith tells us what happened next.
9 in the morning, day one, and these people have a deadline to meet.
So welcome to the kickoff of the shopping cart project.
This is Palo Alto, California, in the heart of Silicon Valley. And these are designers at IDEO, probably the most influential product development firm in the world. IDEO has designed everything from high-tech medical equipment to the 25-foot mechanical whale in the movie Free Willy and the first computer mouse for Apple. Smith ski goggles, Nike sunglasses, NEC computer screens, hundreds of products we take for granted.
The point is that we're not actually experts at any given area. We're kind of experts on the process of how you design stuff. So we don't care if you give us a toothbrush, a toothpaste tube, a tractor, a space shuttle, a chair. It's all the same to us. We want to figure out how to innovate by using our process, applying it.
Project leader is Peter Skillman, a 35-year-old Stanford engineer. Project leader because he's good with groups, not because of seniority. He's only been at IDEO for 6 years. The rest of the team is eclectic, but that's typical here. Whitney Mortimer, Harvard MBA. Peter Coughlin, linguist. Tom Kelly, Dave's brother, marketing expert. Jane Fulton-Suri, psychologist. Alex Kazaks, 26, a biology major, who's turned down medical school 3 times because he's having too much fun at IDEO. Safety emerges early as an important issue.
22,000 child injuries a year, and so they're hospitalized injuries. I mean, there are many others.
And theft. It turns out a lot of carts are stolen. As the team works, it becomes clear there are no titles here, no permanent assignments.
The other side gives us a lot of help, says, be safe. I'll give you a big red ball on a post, and that says you're a big guy. If you got a ball, you're a senior vice president. What do I care? The desk, the red ball, it's all the same. In a very innovative culture, you can't have a kind of hierarchy of here's the boss and the next person down, the next person down, the next person down, because it's impossible that the boss is the one who's had the insightful experience with shopping carts. It's just not possible.
The team splits into groups to find out firsthand what the people who use, make, and repair shopping carts really think.
Okay, go.
The problem with the plastic cart is the wind catches it. Yeah. And these things have been clocked at 35 across the parking lot.
Man, that's actually a pretty good point. The trick is to find these real experts, and so that you can learn much more quickly than you could by just kind of doing it in the normal way and trying to learn about it yourself.
From everything I read, these things aren't that safe either, you know? So probably the seat itself is going to have to be redesigned.
One of the interesting things for me is looking at how people really don't like to let go of the cart, except for the professional shopper, whose strategy is to leave the cart at various places.
3:30 in the afternoon, and the group is back at IDEO. There is no let-up.
Each team is going to demonstrate and communicate and share everything that they've learned today.
A shopping cart has been clocked at 35 miles an hour traveling through a parking lot in the wind.
We were in the store, 2 hours, and it was truly frightening just to see the kind of stuff going on.
You got to designate some people to make damn sure that the store owner's point of view is represented.
After 9 straight hours, the team is tired. They call it a day.
So,
everybody cool?
Well, that's great. Thanks a lot. We had a great time today.
IDEO's mantra for innovation is written everywhere. One conversation at a time. Stay focused. Encourage wild ideas. Defer judgment. Build on the ideas of others.
That's the hardest thing for people to do, is to restrain themselves from criticizing an idea. So if anybody starts to nail an idea, they get the bell.
The ideas pour out and are posted on the walls.
Oh, the blind, the privacy blind. Like when you're buying 6 cases of condoms, no one sees. So if it doesn't nest, we don't have a solution.
Organized chaos. It's not organized. What it is it's focused chaos.
Vote with your Post-it, not with an idea that's cool, but with an idea that's cool and buildable. If it's too far out there and it can't be built in a day, then I don't think we should vote on it. Enlightened trial and error succeeds over the planning of lone genius.
Enlightened trial and error succeeds over the planning of the lone genius. If anything sums up IDEO's approach, that is it. Worried that the team is drifting, what can only be called a group of self-appointed adults under Dave Kelly holds an informal side session.
4 or 5 teams. 4 or 5 teams, and we give each team a need area. It becomes very autocratic for a very short period of time in defining what things people are going to work on.
If you don't work under time constraints, you could never get anything done because it's a messy process and go on forever.
Back at the shop, it is 6 o'clock. The 4 mock-ups are ready for showing.
Baskets also can be, if you think you will have more volume, baskets can be put in.
A modular shopping cart you pile hand baskets onto. A high-tech cart that gets you through the traffic jam at checkout.
That you could mount a scanner on the shopping cart so that you as the customer, as you pull it off the shelf, scan each item.
One that's built around child safety. And another that lets shoppers talk to the supermarket staff remotely.
Yeah, where can I find the yogurt?
But the adults, again, decide more work needs to be done before the mock-ups can be combined into one last prototype.
Why don't we have all the carts come up here for a second?
I think you take a piece of each one of these ideas and kind of back it off a little bit and then put it in the design.
The design is still not there. But there's another motto at IDEO: fail often in order to succeed sooner. And some of the team will be up half the night trying to put together a design that finally does work.
Good.
There it is! So we took the best elements out of each prototype.
The cart, which is designed to cost about the same as today's carts, is different in every other way. What do you think?
Well, I'm very proud of the team. I think it's great.
Does this work for you?
Works for me great. It's also beautiful.
The cart's wheels turn 90 degrees so it can move sideways. No more lifting up the rear in a tight spot. And you shop in a totally different way. The bags are hung on hooks on the cart's frame. Remember, there is no basket here.
At first, I was a little shocked, but I think you have some fantastic ideas here. It needs a little refining, but I think that it's great. I mean, we would want them.
She also gave us some really good comments about how we can make this thing better.
A lot of hours. Also, an open mind, a boss who demands fresh ideas be quirky and clash with his, a belief that chaos can be constructive, and teamwork, a great deal of teamwork. And these are the recipe for how innovation takes place. This is Jack Smith for Nightline in Palo Alto, California.
So let's take a look at some of the takeaways from this video. I think there are a lot of things, and some of those would be themes that you have heard us talk about before, but let's take a look. So if you look at the core beliefs of this organization, IDEO, and of the people there, you heard them say several things. Innovation is a messy process, and you need time pressure, otherwise nothing will get done. So that's something you want to keep in mind as well. So the idea is not to create time pressure to get stressed out, but unless you put some discipline and time pressure on yourself to generate ideas and work on things, you're not necessarily going to be in a state of mind where you will come up with some creative ideas. It sounds counterintuitive, but you do need some time pressure to be creative. And it's a messy process because no one really knows in the beginning what has to be done. It's a gradual process. And we said before, it's a trial and error process. It's iterative. We've got to go back and forth. And the other thing they said is there are no titles or hierarchy. Everyone is an equal in the team. But that being said, they do have some what they call adults or people who are coaches or mentors, which I know the Innowah teams will have as from their faculty teams to guide them in their projects. And that's required because at times the team members will get so emotionally caught up in their ideas or their pet notions. They need somebody to ask them to step back and sort of be more objective. And that's the role they play, apart from giving them overall guidance. You also heard them say that enlightened trial and error is key. What that means is that you should have trials and errors, but then you learn from those. It's not random trial and error, obviously. Right? In terms of the team composition, it helps to have a team leader who's good with groups, not necessarily because the person is senior. And that I can say in my own experience in the many years I worked at is really what's important. You don't always need to have somebody who's senior necessarily, especially if you're working in open-ended, innovative areas. You also saw that these people are good at following the innovation process, not a particular field. They're not necessarily deep experts in any particular area. And in fact, this video emphasizes the fact that innovation is a structured process, and these people know how that process works. Also, you saw a lot of diversity in the team. So you have people who obviously have they're men and women. You got people with different backgrounds. There's even somebody with a degree in psychology and biology. And there are some younger people, there are somewhat older people. So the more diversity you have in a group, the better it is because you have that much more probability of generating a lot of different ideas and perspectives. So that's something you do want in a team to the extent possible, even in your particular context. Some more takeaways. You heard them talk about certain norms or mantras. There are rules for operating in a team. One conversation at a time is key. You have to stay focused on the topic, keep an open mind, wide ideas, defer judgment. That is really critical. You heard us say that. Build on others' ideas and have fun, celebrate. And finally, as far as the project is concerned, you found that these teams the team broke up into smaller teams, and they went right at the beginning of the project to talk to people who are knowledgeable about the product, whom they call the field experts. And then, of course, they had these, quote, adults, unquote, or the mentors who guided them. And they made sure that they took the best features of different prototypes and created one final product, which they then validated with the customers. So the best ideas emerged into one MVP, which then they validated with the customer. So I think this is a great video that you could take some learnings from to say, how can we work together, not only in the context of innovation, but in general. Let's turn now to the third tool that we talked about earlier, which is De Bono's 6 hats. And this is Dr. Edward De Bono is is a world famous authority on lateral thinking. This has got to do with diffuse thinking, which we talked about earlier, where you use right brain activity to come up with different ideas. And there are a lot of uses for this 6 hats technique. What is this 6 hats thing about? Let's take a quick look. So here you really have people, and I've seen this working in teams, people come with hats, different colored hats, or even scars or something that becomes a visual cue as to the role they're going to play. So let's say you have someone who has a blue hat. So the person is going to be the facilitator here. They will think about the process. How is the team going to work together? How will they plan their sessions? Somebody who wears a blue hat, a white hat, will focus on the facts. Their role is to focus on facts, on information and data. How will I get the information? Somebody who is going to wear the red hat is going to focus on intuitions or feelings, hunches, and they don't have to give reasons for that. The person who wears a green hat will focus on ideas, alternatives, possibilities, open-minded. They should be creative. And they should be somewhat contrarian to the person who wears the black hat. The black hat is the person who is cautious. His or her role is to point out the difficulties, the hurdles, the weaknesses, dangers, risks, and provide logic for that. And then the yellow hat person looks at the positives, the plus points of an idea that has been given as a topic. So these people, when they wear these hats, they have to play that role, and they can't deviate from that role. And then they work on the topic to come up with different aspects of that, and that's how then they generate ideas. So let's take a look at that with an example. Before we do that, as I said, this 6 hats technique can be used for many, many different activities. But the one we're going to look at in our scope is choosing between alternatives. We talked about conversion thinking, so we're going to look at choosing between alternatives. So from many to few. And the recommended hat sequence for that is blue. So you need one person to wear a blue hat, one person with a white hat. Green is an option, and you can see quickly, blue is process, white is facts, green is the creativity guy, yellow is the one with the benefits, black is the doubter, the one pointing out the risks, red is the one with the feelings, and the blue, it's the same blue person. It's not like there are 2 people wearing 2 blue hats, but you basically start and end with the input from the person wearing the blue hat, okay? And then there are different sequences of hats depending on other activities. It's quite a fun technique. So let's look at an example. We'll use the cart example from the video to see how this can be applied. So here is a case. You're going to use the 6 hats to select a cart. So you have, let's say we got 3 carts. So for cart number 1, let's say there are some features you're looking at. So one has got an aluminum frame and with plastic bits. You have that cart with bag hooks, and it's got regular wheels, which means it just goes back and forth like any regular cart. So these are the team. So here we've chosen not to have the green for this type of exercise. Green, as I said, was optional. So we don't have a green person here. So these are the people who are at the table now. And this person says, select each feature from here and then comment, give your feedback. So you go left to right here. And so this person, the white person says, this is going to be light. The person with the yellow hat says, this will have the benefit that it is going to be easy to move. This one says, you're going to have plastic, so plastic is going to break. And the person wearing the red hat says, it looks nice. I like it. I like the looks of it. So you proceed in this particular sequence. Now, when you do this exercise, it doesn't mean that you literally have to have this color of sequence. But the idea is to proceed from blue back to blue again. So you can have any kind of sequence in between, but these are the colors you need for this particular thing of convergent thinking, right? So once that's done, as a team, then you select the best features for the final card. So this is a very simple example that we're going to look at for the different features for this card and then 2 other cards. And so let's see the exercise as it's played out. And you will see it's been filled in completely. We're not going to read every input that's been given here, but you've got 3 cards. Some of them have similar features, some have different features, and these people have commented and given their input on this as things come to their minds. And now the team is going to start selecting. We are doing this as a team, this exercise here. So they decide that light is something they like in a cart. They want something that's easy to load. It should have a cart side terminal, so it's fast to check out. It should have safety because some shoppers carry their little ones with them, so there has to be a factor of safety there. And the person wearing the black hat said, yes, but that's not enough. That baby may fall out. So that's something they feel is important. And the white hat person says, in this case, we need to have a cart with wheels that move sideways and front and back. And the team agrees that that's a good feature to have. So these are the ones they say is good. And then the red hat guy says, by the way, I think we should also focus on something that looks nice. And the team agrees. So this is what the team has agreed to have in terms of the feature set in their cart. So then they come up with something which is what they think is the best cart. So what would that have? Because they want something light, it'll be one with an aluminum frame, because it should be easy to load, bag hooks, so on and so forth. Okay. And because this person said it should have a safety thing so the baby doesn't fall out, they said, let's have a baby holder with a belt. That's how you put this together. Now the team thinks this is the best cart, but the real test of this is only if you go and take it out to the customer and then the customer says so, and then they start using it. Okay, it's not enough for you guys to do this exercise and say you come up with the best product there is. Ultimately, the person who decides that is your customer, and then they're going to start using it. That is the heart of innovation. So this is the exercise called 6 hats. One other point to remember is that this is not necessarily an entirely democratic exercise. You don't have to have or pick every input from each of these hats. It's quite possible you may not pick up something from somebody who's talking about caution, or maybe something you don't talk about fact. I mean, it just depends on how the team works on this thing. Okay, no two teams working with the same thing will come up with necessarily the same end product. So that brings us pretty much to a close. I know we are running short on time here, but we're just about done. So as far as your project is concerned, just again a reminder, we touched upon this in the last webinar. As far as you're concerned, create time pressure. And you saw that in this video, that is critical in fostering innovation and creativity. Go out, see for yourself, just as this team did, talk to people, use these ideation tools we're giving you. They're all easy to use, and fail often to succeed sooner. Don't discuss things endlessly or aim for the perfect solution. Start working on your projects and come up with a prototype. So just a last slide here before we close, looking at the objectives. Turning back to the questions we asked at the beginning, is a creative product an innovation? And we said it is not an innovation until it is something that customers like and want to get. What are some more ways of generating ideas? We showed you several different techniques. And how can teams be creative? I think the video was a great example that showed you, and the learnings that we captured as to how teams can be creative. Okay. So with that, we'll bring this to a close. Just to let you know, there's a glossary of terms that we keep building, and we will keep adding terms here that we introduced in these webinars, something which you can continue to use going forward. So I think with that, I'll bring this to a close. Thank you all very much for your participation, which really was great, and for your attention. And good luck with your respective projects.
Thank you, Pramod. That's a great session. And I would like to give a brief introduction of Pramod to the audience. We had given it in the last webinar. So I thought there would be many new people and they would also be interested to know about Pramod. So Pramod is an alumnus of the IIT Madras. He passed in 1977. And then he went to US. He went to the University of Texas at Austin and did his MS. And later he did his MBA from the University of California at Berkeley. And Pramod was working for about 13 years with AT&T in New Jersey. And then he worked with GE Capital for about 8 years in Connecticut. And then he moved to India as part of Borton Group. And then he got into the role of a management consultant in India. And he's right now working with social innovators out of Pune. He's based in Pune, and he's working with different social innovators in Pune. And there is also a regular national conference on social innovation every year in Pune, and he's a regular participant there. He mentors a number of teams to participate there. And so he's also a very professional mentor. So if any of you are interested in doing any social innovation projects and you want to present it at conferences or other places, you know whom to contact. You can contact us and we will put you to Pramod and he can help you to take it forward. So that's a brief about Pramod. And now about the talk, I think you must all appreciate that creativity happens when people team up together. If you look at the biggest companies in the world, for example, you look at Microsoft, it was started by 2 people, not Bill Gates. There was another person, Paul Allen, who also was with Bill Gates for many years. Apple was started with 2 Steves, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. So even in India, Flipkart was started by the 2 Bansals. So you can see that everywhere, any successful enterprise will have multiple people working with it, at least in the initial stages, to bring it up to a stage of success. So the lesson that you will all get is that creativity will be much more effective when in teams. And how to get the creativity better in the teams was what all this session was about. So I hope you all had a good session. Now we will go to the question answer session. We don't have much time for the questions, but we will take whatever questions are possible in the session. And then you can always post your questions and we will answer them in our website in due course.
Yep.
So I hand it over to Bharani for going ahead with the question answer session.
Yeah, thank you, Akir. Okay, we have received a few questions beginning of this seminar, before the seminar. So first question, though we had ideas, we don't know how to express it. Akir, do you want to take this?
Sure. See, that's one of the biggest challenges which many people face. How do you express your idea? How do you get it forward? How do you do something with it? To do something with it, you have to express it. And the first thing is, before expressing it, you have to think about it and get your idea into a proper shape. You should have some good grasp over the idea. What you want to achieve with it? What do you think it will do? What benefit it will be to society, to others? You must have some inkling about the whole thing. You must do some thinking. You should know that. And then once you are clear about it, then you can express your ideas. There are many ways to express your ideas. Simple way is to put it on paper or electronic screen. But now we have to, in the last 2 webinars, we have come up with so many techniques which are more effective in expressing, in enabling people to express their ideas to others. So I hope I answered the question.
Yeah. Okay, next question is, creating a team is easy, but keeping it to the end is not easy. So how can we choose our team wisely? Pramod, you want to answer that?
Yeah, I really see that in a couple of different ways. One is you want to spend some time in getting together your team, and we talked about some things earlier about diversity. Just because you're a bunch of friends, well, friends are great to have for, you can look out objectively and see who is motivated. You might have someone who's from a junior class or somebody from a senior class to you, somebody who has a very different background from yours. But underlying all of the commonality for these people is they should have a sincere desire when it comes to creativity. So I would look for that. I would look for diversity. And I would want to, this is the tricky part here, is you want to have people who don't let their egos get in the way. And sometimes, unfortunately, you find that later. But then even if that happens, there are ways to manage that. So that comes to the second part. Once you have the team that you selected, how do you work effectively? And I think you saw some great an example in the video. People put their hierarchy, their titles aside. People listen to each other. They are open to each other's ideas. So, everyone has an ego. But when you're working on something together, you got to think of the end use. You got to think of your beneficiary. And that's what really works. It's not about you. It's not only about you, rather. It's not about your idea being the best or whatever. You have to work at that. You have to follow certain norms like we looked at. You have to agree to follow those rules. And it is really essential to have a mentor on the team, right? So those are some of the things that you need to work on and manage during the project so that you ensure people are staying connected. and you have to communicate with each other. There has to be open communication, no hidden agendas, and you should all strive towards getting to the end. And it's not that the whole idea is necessary to win, and if you don't win, that it's all a failure. It's the whole process, the whole journey is what's the it's all about that. It's not about having won the contest or whether you came up with the most brilliant idea or not. It's the learning process in that which will help you even later in your careers. So those are the aspects of teamwork I think that are important to stress in this case.
Thanks, Rama. So the next question, this question has come in different forms. Effectively, it says, how can we develop our creativity? Arun, do you want to answer this?
Yeah, thanks, Bernie. How do you develop our creativity? I'll just take you back to the slide which had those 4 squares in the slide deck that was just presented by Pramod. If you see that x-axis there, it was a driver of engagement. A key factor in developing creativity is to have the motivation and passion to work on something. Now, unless you have that, you want to solve a problem, you want to solve a problem at all costs, at whatever be the challenges. Unless that is there, it's very difficult to be creative just like that. But once you get through that, once you commit yourself and have the motivation to be able to solve it, then you will be able to get a lot of creative ideas because you will start applying your mind continuously on different aspects of it. Of course, through the presentation today, there was a lot of discussion on how to improve that creativity. You know, you work in teams. Teams are always 2 heads are better than 1. Multiple heads are always better than 1. And how to organize yourself to get all creative thoughts onto a whiteboard or on paper and then think through it. So everybody is creative. It only requires a lot of application of mind, patience, and commitment to address that creativity. Yes, Bernie.
Thank you, Arun. Okay, the next question is, how do I find the specific area of interest? Pramod, you want to take this?
I think we looked at, so if you were to use as an example, the Innowah contest, or even in general, you first, given that the motivation that Arun talked about, you have that, you have to have an idea of what is the problem that you want to look at the opportunity. I mean, you have to narrow it down by having some notion where you have to be a very keen observer. You have to be tuned in. You should be aware of what's going on around you. And you should then go and test it to see if that is indeed something that is, seems to be a problem or an opportunity. And then as a team, you come up with several of these, and you can use tools like mind mapping or brainstorming or whatever it is, and even NJT that we saw today. And then you propose these as potential ideas to work on. And then you work to narrow it down to then get to the point where you think that these 1 or 2 or 3 things are things I'm going to pursue further, and then eventually settle on something that you want to take a deep dive on and commit yourself to.
Okay. The next question is, how much this topic, that is innovation, will be implemented in our life, and how should be the idea? RKR, you want to explain this?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
I think every step you take in your life will involve innovation. You just look around, you will realize it. Probably you may realize when you are a child, you did some mischief. And when you are confronted by your parent or elders or somebody, you will desperately think of an innovative way to get out of the situation. Or a parent who's managing a difficult child, the child is troubling, crying or doing something, and the parent has to find some way to pacify the child and control the child. So there are there's a lot of scope to do innovation everywhere, and it's needed. So it's a question of how people think and in a specific context, and how do they solve the problem which is at hand in a very innovative way. So that's the general answer. Now coming to the specifics of working on a project and how to do innovation. I think it has been, we have answered it already in many ways, how creativity and innovation happens in the project. As we said that There are many tools where the thinking can be channelized and the creativity can be brought out, documented, and identified to be of benefit to others, identified to have wide use, and then it becomes an innovation. So I hope that clarifies that answer.
Yes. Just I want to add one sentence, which I love that sentence. See, if we are going to do something today, and 1 year down the line, if you are going to do the same thing the same way, then you are obsolete. That is today's world. Every year has to be different. So keep that in mind. Innovation is inevitable. We have to keep doing it everything in your life. Okay, I'll move to the next question. Most of the TBIs and pre-incubation centers are struggling to commercialize the students' innovation. Very true. How could be the change of strategy needed? Arun, you want to take this question?
Yeah, thanks, Bernie. Again, let me take you back to the deck. We said, what is innovation? Innovation is creativity plus value. So discovering that value very early on is a very important step in this whole innovation process. Again, I'll take you through that cycle that Pramod explained. You ultimately need to come up with a minimum viable product that addresses some basic requirements in terms of functionality, reliability, cost, etc. And then you start refining it. So every time you try to develop a product, the main objective should be to identify clearly who's a customer, what is the value to him, will it be a commercially viable product, how to make the product commercially viable. All these steps have to come in very early into the whole incubation cycle. It cannot come after the product is developed. The product has to evolve. Take again that ideal example of the shopping cart. A key feature there, they said, is it should be light. It should be able to move in all directions. So those are some of the things that they attended to very early on, rather than sort of develop it in solid steel and then later find how to manage that additional requirement. So a lot of the incubation that gets done is with a specific product that people have in mind. But the whole process of innovation is to be creative and also consistently look at value, creation, and usability of the product as it is being developed, not after it is developed.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next question is interesting. Addiction towards creativity, is it good or bad? If bad, then how to control it? Okay, so just Arun explained to you. See, creativity and innovation is two different things, okay? Unless you add value to your creativity, it won't become an innovation. So that's something that you have to remember first thing. The second thing is being creative is not good, but getting obsessive with creativity sometimes may tend to become bad also. I mean, it's all up to you to control this. I want to quote a light example in a very lighter note. You all know Steve Jobs. He's a very creative person. He loves only things which are very different, very creative. He doesn't like any normal things. What I heard somewhere is when towards the end of his life, he was affected by cancer. He was hospitalized. He didn't like the oxygen mask, the way it has been designed. So he refused to wear it. So see, being too creative is not always good. So sometimes you have to accept the life as it is. So, I mean, that's what I would say. So it's all in our hands, how to manage it. Okay. So the next question is, I want to know more about the Innowah challenge. Okay, so as RKR mentioned, we have a new website, innowah.palspgm.com. This has been launched. This communication has been sent. So please visit this website. You will know all about our Innowah competition for this year. The last question for this, sir, there is a product to be developed, can be a mobile app or a hardware product. Okay, I will answer this question. See, this particular competition says it has given you only the topic. You have to choose the focus area. and you can develop anything you want. We are not specifying what you have to develop. It is a completely open competition. You can come up with any brilliant product. It can be a mobile app, it can be a hardware, it can be anything else. So it is all up to you. You decide what is going to be a very useful product as an innovative product. Okay. I saw one question popping up in Gmail. Probably it has been answered, but maybe I will ask Pramod, probably you can take this. A person, an individual rather, he means, has a good idea and a sharp knowledge about his product. Does he need a team? That's a question from Vigneshwar of MEPCO.
Yes, you invariably need a team for a number of reasons. One is you alone, bright and motivated as you might be, you are only going to go so far. You will need a team, as does every budding entrepreneur, because other members bring different expertise, they bring different skills, and you need to complement your own skills and experience and your shortcomings. You may be good at one thing but not good at something else. So that you need somebody who has complementary background to enrich the whole overall team, so that which works well and effectively on your idea. You may have a great idea, but even though it's your idea, you do certainly need a team to work on that. And that is a given.
Absolutely. See, I mean, at least there has to be somebody to question you. I mean, if you are not challenged, then don't never assume that you are always right.
Yep.
Okay. I think we have covered all the questions that has been asked. Arker, what do you suggest? I think
do you think we can take one or two questions? People want to raise their hands.
Akash has raised a hand. Lavana, you want to unmute? Akash?
Yes, sir. 1 minute, sir. I'll do. Akash, you can talk now.
Akash?
His audio is not yet set up, actually.
Oh. Yeah, anybody else?
Akash, you can try to talk. Else you can post a question in the chat box also.
Yeah, you can send an email as well.
Yes.
We'll reply back.
Students, please feel free to raise your hand. It's a wonderful opportunity.
Mallika Sendil.
Yes, Mallika. Go ahead. Mallika Sendil.
Unmute.
She lowered her hand.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Well, first of all, thank you all, for being here. It's very eye-opening to listen to you guys. I mean, it gives a different perspective to projects that we take on. And my question today is, from the example of the bicycle we saw, the one that floats on water, they didn't have a problem in mind. They didn't have a problem statement they were finding a solution to. Yet they came up with an innovative idea. So my question is, do you think we could do better, innovate better without a problem? Or what's your perspective on that?
Akir, you want to take that?
Okay. See, if I think what they did, they just somebody must have got a creative idea of making a bike run on water, and they've succeeded in doing it. They came up with an excellent product which works. And they were focused on creating the product, and probably when the product is good, they got some people interested in buying it. They did not follow the normal path of examining whether there is a user requirement for such a product. So we can make it out easily. The product is very good. It runs on a nice large surface of water, which is calm and smooth. It may, obviously you can't use it on the sea. You can't use it in smaller water bodies, on rivers and all that. It can be used in only lakes and more calmer water bodies. And it's more for amusement. And again, whether there is any other business use for it, for transporting goods or transporting people, it's still to be determined. So I would say that, yes, they probably use their creativity and built a product for maybe their own enjoyment or for limited use. But definitely, I don't think they used it. They looked at it as a commercial venture, which will be a successful for many people in the world.
Okay, I just want to add one point
Sure.
to that. I think to build on what Arkea just said, we are talking about innovation in this context, right? So that's why we're emphasizing a creative idea that ultimately finds widespread acceptance and use. That doesn't mean that if you're passionate about something or if you enjoy doing something, that you should not be creative. I mean, go all out, be creative, let your passion come to fruition and enjoy doing that. By all means, all we are saying is by doing that, you may or may not actually convert that into an innovation, as seemed to be the case with this person who says that he just loved biking and swimming and he wanted to do something about that. Now, whether it succeeds or not as an innovation, as Arkea said, it could be a different matter. But I think the guy seems to have had a lot of fun doing that. So by all means, be creative, but just remember that to be innovative, to really make it innovative, that creativity has got to be turned into something that becomes widespread, widespread use to people.
Maybe just to add one more point, the person who did it probably was a very rich guy. He had a lot of money. He had made his money in life. So he wanted to do something for his creativity and he built the product for creativity. He did not probably look at it as something which will become a huge business proposition and which will give him a lot of profits. Unlike many others who came up with products which were successful as a business proposition. So it's all everybody's thinking and priorities in life, what they do.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have Abhinav Ranjan from SRM, sir. Do we have time to allow him?
Sir, can you last question?
Yeah.
Yes, sir, thank you. Sir, you talk about innovation about at a widespread level, sir. I want to talk about Elon Musk Tesla coming into India, sir. Now, recently, the Karnataka government pitched Bengaluru for its gigafactory. So, sir, Elon Musk, if he starts selling electrical vehicles in India, this is a very big innovation as per your definition, sir. It is creative also. It is very valuable also because it is going to save energy at a global level. But at the longer run, you and I both know that if he comes into India, he is going to own the EV market. So I want to ask you, whenever you think about innovation at a greater stage, how do you balance the odds of the equation? At one side of the equation, Elon Musk is going to give a job to a lot of Indians. He is going to save global energy. But on the other side of the equation, he is going to earn more power and he is going to conquer the EV market because there is no current competitors in India. So how do you balance the odds of the equation?
I think, shall I answer this?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, I think Elon Musk is not just building an EV vehicle, he's also building a driverless vehicle. Am I right, Pramod?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's having multiple...
Sorry to interrupt you, sir, but he lost $50 billion in valuation because he told that after 3 years only his self-driving cars would be ready. So self-driving cars is not an issue right now.
I don't want to comment on the market reactions of the products and all that, but looking at what Elon Musk, you specifically asked about Elon Musk building. See, he's building an EV, correct? So let's look at it as an EV. Let's not even go to the driverless vehicle. Now, an EV to be successful still has a lot of other things to be taken care of. Like, for example, battery and charging the battery, life of the battery, disposal of the battery. So these are a few issues. Of course, the EV has a lot of benefits as a product, but it has also got a lot of environmental issues. And then what about the range of the EV? If you fill a car with petrol, you can easily go to Bangalore and come back. A big car with BMW may probably do that. Will an EV do it? Then the EV may have charging issues, it may have other problems. So we have to, there is still a lot of questions to be solved for EVs, especially in the advanced world also. And to come to India, there are another unique set of problems to be taken care of to make EV as a commercial product. It's an innovative, creative product, yes, agreed. There is no doubt about it. It saves petrol. It is a car which is very less number of parts, easy to maintain, and you can add a lot of other things to it. But definitely these things require a lot of other adjustment to the environment to support the EV, to create the EV, to maintain the EV in not only India, but the world. That is still coming up. So we have to wait for it to happen, and it will take some time. So let us not come to any conclusions that EV is going to do this or EV is going to do that. Everything will happen over a period of time. And as it happens, I'm sure the other vehicles also will, other manufacturers of other vehicles will also find ways of competing with the EV or collaborating with the EV and living profitably. So everything will happen over a period of time. That's what I would say.
Okay, I'll just add to that.
Sure.
The fact that it is an innovation is beyond doubt. Clearly, it is something that is an innovation. You brought up the question of monopoly, actually. You know, monopoly is something which can be a natural outcome of an innovation. And a very simple one is telephones. I mean, you guys now are young enough to use only mobile phones, but there is something called a landline phone. That is what used to be there when AT&T, the company I work for, when they came up, Alexander Graham Bell came up with the telephone. AT&T was the largest company in the world because they became a monopoly in the US. And then that's not the fault of AT&T or Alexander Graham Bell, because it was an absolute innovation. I mean, look at the worldwide impact it had. I mean, it was much more than even Elon Musk's this thing. But then it is the job of the government, as it was in the US, to break up the monopoly. That's a different ball game you're looking at. If you want competition, if you want creativity and you want that to continue, somebody else has to step in and make sure that it does not become a monopoly, okay? So you want to keep the things clear. And innovation can become a monopoly, but that's not the fault of the innovator or the innovation. It is then up to different powers to make sure that that monopoly, that innovation does not become a monopoly. Otherwise, yes, it can have a very detrimental effect on consumers and the general market.
And by no means we can stop technology, okay? So that's what we have learned all through years. I think we have answered enough questions, RKR.
Yeah.
We'll stop with this. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
So thanks to everyone. Thanks to Pramod for the excellent talk. Thanks to the other PALS team for the support. Thanks to PALS PMO for organizing the whole event very well. And of course, I thank all our participants for coming and listening to us. We hope we have been able to enlighten you a little more on innovation than what you were before the event. And we hope you will continue learning. You'll come to our next webinars, next series of webinars, and you'll like them. Please give your feedback. We will also take them and see how we can help you better. Feel free to ask questions. We have given you a channel for that. Our website is also there. Please make use of the website. And so I wish you all the best. And I take leave. I hand over to our PMO, Lavana, to take care of the closing aspect.
Thank you, RKR, sir. Thank you. Dear students, I hope by now all of you have got wonderful takeaways from the session. As we mentioned earlier, please submit your valuable feedback. It will not take more than 5 minutes. Hope to see all of you in the coming webinar series. Thank you all. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pramod sir. Thank you, Bharani sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you all the faculty who have joined for the session. Participants, please submit your valuable feedback. It is very important for us for the continuous improvement.